Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So very excited to dive into this video because it's all about increasing your savings but doing it in a relatively quick way using really simple methods. So I'm going to show you 5 methods which everyone can apply, repeat them every year, and I promise you, you will dramatically increase on your savings. So stick around to the end, apply these 5 methods and watch your savings grow. Okay, cool. So let's jump into this. I am excited to share this with you because they're really simple methods, right? And everyone watching this, you can go on to apply it and really start to compound your savings in a relatively quick way. So you can get to the end of the year and look at these 5 methods and go, actually, they've made a big difference to my savings. And they will work if you apply them. But before we jump into it, savings as a whole in the UK and the US, it's not something that the average person is making a huge dent on. And what I'm going to do actually, just to show you some numbers here, is I'll pop them up the screen somewhere, is the sort of the average by age and the average median across what the US and the UK citizen is saving, which isn't a huge amount, as you can see by the pop-ups on the screen there. So saving really is an area where we need to focus on, but I think there's 2 fundamentals we need to really sort of knuckle down on and get right before we start increasing our savings and applying these particular methods. And that is clearing down debt and building up an emergency fund first, because what I will say before I continue is there's no financial advice, but a very strong recommendation is that you don't have debt and you have an emergency fund for at least 2 to 3 months, right, of your outgoings, what's needed right now, sitting in a bank if you needed to tap into it, because you know then that buffer's there so you can really go hard on your savings. So I'm going to assume, just for this refreshed video, is that you have no debt and your emergency fund is in place. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's start with these methods. Now, before we actually sort of attack them, apply them, we need to know our goal to why we're actually doing this, because I promise you, if you do not have a clear vision and a goal to why you want to save, you will float around and you will dibble dabble with no real progress to your savings. Because if you have no reason to why you're saving money, you're going to impulse buy, you're going to put a little bit of money by, then you're going to dip into it, you're going to take some money out because you've seen something at the shop or you want a new car, and there's no clear vision, there's no consistency, no discipline on your part, no motivation to keep going. So I urge you to sit down, work out, is it early retirement? Is it family financial freedom? Do you want to travel when you're older? Is it property you want to buy? Saving for your first house? A million different reasons, but you need to focus on that one goal and go hard for your savings in order to achieve that. So now that I've got that off my chest, I've shared that with you, we can now jump into the 5 methods on how you can go about saving, and they're super simple. So number 1 is avoid impulse buying. Impulse buying truly is the biggest killer to anyone looking to save, because there's lack of control. It's, oh, I've seen it, I need to buy it, oh, that money should have gone into savings. But you can't get that back because you've already spent it. Yeah, you could take perhaps some things back, but if you're going to buy it, you're going to buy it. So what I would urge you to do is, if you are an impulse buyer and you see something and you often like something and you buy it and then you regret and you think, oh God, maybe I shouldn't have bought that because actually I've already got a million shoes, I didn't need another pair, or my car was already working fine, did I really need the new car? Well, a stop and think method is really simple. Take 24 hours, go home, think about it. Review your goals, sit down. Does this align with your financial goals in buying this impulse buy? I can pretty much guarantee you the answer would be no. You know it, I know it, so don't impulse buy. Really go hard on yourself. So that is method number 1, review that. Number 2 is a separate bank account for your impulse buying. So there is a method behind this madness. So just assuming you have all your income going to one account and then you divvy it out across investments and savings and so forth. I urge you to open up another account. So you're not just left with this current account that you use for your impulse buying. Like most people have, they have a savings and they have a current account for living expenses, food, petrol, but also for your coffees, for your impulse buying, shopping, stuff like that. If you were to take and separate into another account with a separate card for your impulse buying, you are reducing the chances of you impulse buying, because you're going to put a small amount of money each week or each month whenever you get paid into your impulse account. So let's just say you put £10 in each week. Well, that is your allowance to spend. So if you like coffee, you have £10 in your specific impulse buying account. And if you can afford it, great, that's your impulse money. Spend it as you will. But if you get to the end of that £10 and you want a lunch and there's no money in there, that's tough. You need to be ruthless on yourself. So open up an entirely separate account for your impulse buying. Method number 3, and that is standing orders. Everyone should have standing orders set up for their income so that when the money drops in, it goes out to all the accounts. But this isn't a typical standing order setup, which I'm asking of you here. It's to increase and maximize every standing order and review this regularly. So if you have, for example, £500 coming in, £100 goes out here, £50 goes out there, £50 goes out there, and another £100 goes out here, and then you keep 100 and a little bit more aside. Can you increase your standing orders so you reduce the chances of you impulse buying? Because I said that is the biggest killer here. That's what we're trying to knock off, that you don't do that. And majority all goes to savings. So if you're saving, say, £10 a week into your savings, I'm just going to use that. Can you actually do £12, £13 or £14 each week? Because if you can, that might leave you tighter in your current account for your food, petrol, stuff like that, but you can still live. And then what that's going to do even more is it's going to reduce and really stretch you on your impulse account. And ultimately, if you review that regularly and you keep topping up, I can do another £1 here, I can do another £2 here. Next thing you know is if you compound your savings accounts and your investment accounts, you've actually topped up as a whole by another £12, £13, £14. That's all going in towards your financial goals that you have. So, and it stretches you on the non-essential spending. Number 4 is save all your change. So I'm going to put up here in the video a link to my other video where I explained how much I save every year, and I did last year's in my jar here. So in here I have, I would say, I don't know, maybe up to £30. I haven't got as much as I'd like because of COVID. It stopped me spending as much cash, but I have a rule of thumb which I'd love you to apply and try, which is where if you have cash and you go into a shop and you spend it on whatever and you get change back, the rule of thumb is not to spend that change. You come straight home, as I do, I put all my change into this jar and I change it up every year at the end of the year in December. And I go down to the bank and it gets added to my pot. And to be honest with you, I'll average anywhere between £150 to £200 every year just in change. I hope I can get to around about £100. It's going to be tight, but I think I can probably get to around about £100 this year. Likewise in your bank. So you can also save your change in your bank by using a roundup system, which some bank accounts do, but I prefer to use an app called Moneybox, which what I'll do is I'll pop up next to me here. I'll show you my roundup process. And what it allows you to do is if I'm spending money on my credit card or my debit card or whatever it is, I link it to Moneybox. And then I have the option to round up that change in my account, my stocks and shares ISA, and it gets added to my savings. It's a fantastic way, and to be honest with you, it's so easy. Why would you not do it? That's my question, is why would you not? Because it is so easy. So save all your change. Number 5 is review your outgoings and your non-essential spending, insurances every quarter. So every 3 months, sit down and work out what your outgoings are and if they are essential. So for example, if you have been with a car insurance provider for years and years, typically every year that insurance provider will bump up your price. So that might be the time now to go onto a comparison website, get a new quote, go back to your provider and say, can you match this cheaper quote? Because you may save £30, £40 a month. Like, why would you not do that? That's gonna compound really nicely with all these other methods that we're using. Non-essential spending for direct debits. Have you got Amazon Prime, Hayu, Now TV, Fire Stick, Netflix, Sky? Are you paying for all of these? And if so, why? You know, do you have 10, 12, 13 children that are like tapping in all over the house? It's very unlikely. So for me, I have Netflix and Prime. I don't need any more than that. That's good for me. I don't watch a lot of telly anyway. And I'm sure if you're someone who is into personal finance and really making the most of your days, then you probably don't watch a lot of telly either. So reduce on these £8, £9, £10 outgoings a month, bring them back, stick them into your savings and watch that grow. It'll add another £200, £300 a year. Non-essential spending can also be such as, are you spending out on food each month? How much are you spending on takeaways, going out, stuff like that? Can you reduce it? Well, the answer is yes, of course we can. So review every quarter, sit down, work it out, bring that money back into your pocket and stick it into savings. And just a final, I'm going to share a bonus here. This is a rule of thumb of mine when it comes to food, because I don't know about you, but I absolutely love food. So I can be so tempted to buy a Subway, a KFC, or a really nice lunch from a cafe or whatever it might be. If I haven't got time to cook, I'm such a sucker for going and getting food. So my rule of thumb is this: if I'm thinking of spending what might be £7 or £8 on food, I will do this every single time. I'll check my current account, the account that I use for like impulse buying. And what I will do is I'll go, okay, I can afford it, but as soon as I think about spending money, whereas I think, well, if I only wait an hour, I'll be at home and I can cook, I will put the same amount of money that I was just about to spend on a cafe lunch into my stocks and shares ISA. That is an absolute rule of thumb of mine. So just as I'm about to buy food, I work out how much that food will cost. I put it into my savings, because now I know subconsciously I can't now go and spend another £8 on food, because now I've spent £16 out of my current account, which shouldn't have really come out, but I have increased on my savings. So that's just a little rule of thumb. You know, saving and investing, it's not an overnight instant gratification feeling. You know, saving can be quite boring and long-term investing can be quite boring. That's just the fact. But we do need to really stick to our plan and have that real desire and that goal to why we're doing it, because it will pay off. And I promise you, just these simple 5 methods that I've shared with you will make such a huge difference. So if you did like this video, please hit like, subscribe, leave me a comment as well to how you save and the methods that you use. And are they quick? You know, are they beneficial? And perhaps can you share them with other people who might be watching this video? So until the next video, I really appreciate you watching as always, and I will speak to all of you very soon.